What's up, Math 8? Thanks for tuning in with another episode of Math with Mullins. Today we're going to look at lesson 2.3, how to solve multi-step equations. We're just going to focus on distributing and then using adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing. So it kind of goes back off of lesson 2.2 where you add, subtract, multiply, divide, except now we might have this thing called distributing. So we're going to look at how does that work too. Okay. The very first thing we want to do is copy this in our notes. So the steps for solving today, we're going to have to distribute, combine any like terms, and then we undo any adding, subtracting, then multiply or dividing, and then finally check your answer. So if you haven't had a chance to pause the video now, let's take time to pause the video here. When you're done writing down your 5 steps, go ahead and click play and we'll try the next question together. So here is question 1. It says copy and solve the following equation. Again, you can pause the video now and try this on your own, or if you want to write it down first and then work it out with me, you can. Otherwise, let's get going. The first thing that said from our steps was to distribute. So with this one though, there's nothing to distribute, and we'll see probably that more of an example too. We do have like terms though. These two both have the letter K, so we're going to combine those. 2K plus K is equal to 3K. And in case you didn't remember, if you have a letter by itself, there's an imaginary 1 in front of it. So if that helps, you can also write the number 1. As I combine like terms, I'm going to bring everything else down and then continue working on through my steps. Now I'm ready to add or subtract. A lot of people will want to subtract this 3K, but 3 and K are being multiplied, so we can't touch that yet. Instead, we're going to subtract this positive 45 from both sides. Okay. As I do that, I just want to make sure that I'm calculating correctly. So I'm doing 180 minus 45 on the right, and I'm doing 45 minus 45 on the left. Okay. So as I clean up 45 minus 45, those cancel out and just give me 3K. But over here, 180 minus 45 is 135. My final step will be to undo any addition or multiplying or dividing. So that is dividing both sides by 3. So I just take 135 divided by 3, so I get K is equal to 45. Okay. Now that last step always says to check your work and just make sure it makes sense. So what I would do is I'd plug in wherever I see a K with the number 45 and then see if it does equal 180. So 2 times 45 is 90, so I have 45 plus 90 plus 45. It does equal 180, so I know that my answer is correct for K is equal to 45. Let's go on to question 2. Again, if you want to pause the video here and try this one on your own, you can. Otherwise, we can work on this one together, and let's go ahead and get started. My first step here is actually to distribute. I do have a number outside the parentheses that is going to distribute to everything inside the parentheses. So the first part, I'm just doing this. 2 times 1, which is 2. And then this part, I'm doing 2 times minus 5, or 2 times negative 5x. That is negative or minus 10x. All that will be equal to negative 8. So just be very cautious. If there is a negative in front of that 5 or minus, it just makes it a negative 5. Now I'm ready to start my combining like terms. I don't have any combining like terms on the same side of the equation sign, so then I'm ready to add or subtract. I am going to focus on this 2 by subtracting 2 from both sides. Again, I cannot worry about this 10x or the negative 10x yet because it's being multiplied. 2 minus negative 2 cancels out, so all that's left is, be careful here, a minus 10x or a negative 10x, and then is equal to negative 8 minus 2 is negative. So again, we want to just be very careful, and this would be something that you could use your calculator for just to check. Minus 8 or negative 8 minus 2 does give you a negative 10. Last but not least, you're going to divide both sides by whatever x is attached to. That'd be negative 10. X is equal to a positive 1. So again, to check my work, I could come over here and write in where I see an x with the positive 1. Solving it using order of operations, negative 5 times 1 is negative 5, and 1 minus 5 is negative 4. Bring down everything else. Is 2 times negative 4 equal to negative 8? Yes, so I know that x equals negative 1 is my correct answer. Here's a big one. So we're going to distribute and combine like terms for number 3. So let's go ahead and try it. the first thing I'm going to do is distribute this -2 to everything just inside the parentheses. So I'm not going to continue to distribute over here with that +4. Unfortunately, that +4 is not in the parentheses, so I'm only worrying about -2 times 7, which is -14, and -2 times -y. Notice there's a negative in front of the y, which makes it a positive plus 2y. That would be the only tricky part here, is distributing that negative correctly. I'm going to bring down everything else and go ahead and combine like terms. The 2y cannot be combined with anything, but the 4 and the -14 can. That's going to give me a -10 plus 2y is equal to -4. Next up, I'm going to add or subtract. I'm going to add this -10 to both sides. So I get 2y is equal to 6. And then my final step will be to divide by 2. So right here I'm getting y is equal to 3. Again, I can check my work by plugging in 3 where I see the y. So I have 7 minus 3, and then the +4 is equal to -4. Solving using order of operations, 7 minus 3 is +4. Bring down everything else. -2 times 4 is -8, and -8 plus 4 is equal to -4, so I know that y does equal to 3. The last example for our notes today is this one. Again, we're going to copy and solve it. Maybe go ahead and pause the video here, try this one on your own, and when you're ready to check it, go ahead and click play. All right, first thing I did was distribute. 6 times 5 is 30, and 6 times -8v would be a -48v plus 12 equals -54. I do have two like terms. 30 plus 12 is 42. So I'm going to have 42 minus 48v is equal to -54. Subtracting both sides, I'm going to be subtracting this 42 from both sides. Again, I can't worry about that -48 yet because that -48 is multiplying with the letter v. So I'm going to bring down this -48v is equal to a -54 minus 42. That means to add, so I'm going to get -96. And then my final step will be to divide both sides by -48. -96 divided by -48 is going to give me a +2. So what I'm going to do is check really quickly. Is +2 my answer? I'm plugging in 2 where I had the letter v. And then go on from here. -8 times 2 is -16. So I have 5 minus 16 in parentheses. Everything else, just bringing that down. 5 minus 16, that's going to give you a -11. So I'm going to bring this down. Times 6 plus 12 equals -54. 6 times -11 is -66. And -66 plus 12 does give me a -54. So I know that v is equal to 2. That is going to conclude our notes today on lesson 2.3, day 1. Tune back in tomorrow where we try some of these with word problems. Thanks for tuning in. Give this video a like if it helped you at all, and we'll catch you next time.